So as a way of introduction, I'm just going to introduce you to the different types of reading that I've done for each team. So I've done 4 different readings for each team based on different techniques that I use. So the first one is going to be the Rider-Waite tarot deck, which is the traditional tarot deck. And the second one, I'm using the Thoth tarot deck, which is a slightly different tarot deck designed, I believe, by Edgar Cayce or Casey. And the third is the I Ching, or the Book of Changes. So they're based on, it's a Chinese form of divination based on the elements, fire, water, earth, heaven, lake, and wind. And the final method is I do my own system of poetry tarot. So I do poetry tarot readings for people, and for this reading I've used the heat of summer, since cricket is a summer sport and they're playing it in summer over in England. I did actually start off using my winter book because it was winter here, and I forgot that it was summer over in England, of course. But funnily enough, the poems had a similar theme. So anyway, I might touch on the winter ones as well. So that's a brief introduction. Now we're going to move on to the teams. Alright, so firstly we're going to look at England. So England, the sense that I get around England was a couple of the cards are quite similar. So the Rider-Waite tarot deck came up with a strength card, and I do believe that England are the favourites for this World Cup. They've got definitely got a strong side coming into this cup, and this card shows a woman with an infinity symbol sort of holding this lion by the jaws, and the lion's, it's almost like the lion's kind of chomping at the bit so they're ready to prove themselves. They're chomping at the bit to show that they're the best team at this cup, and because they're the hosts also, there's a lot of pressure on them as well. However, the I Ching card was Lake Mountain, and the mountain is a very strong symbol, but the lake underneath the mountain, the lake dissolves, the lake dissolves, mysterizes, hides the mountain, thus both are weak in time of simplification, poverty. Outer humility is no disgrace if there is inner substance. Quell lower feelings and muster your energy for higher things. So there's also so there's a sense that although there's a lot of outward strength and outward show of pomp and circumstance, and the ground underneath is a bit unstable, or the sort of the essence of what's underneath. There's a lot of outward show, but have they got the inner strength to win as a team? And the Thoth card I got was failure. So that's one of the pressures that is on them this time round, is the sense that they will be seen as a failure if they don't win, because they're the favourites, of course. Now the poem I got was about a friendship that again was very solid, loyal, strong friendship, but in the poem that I got for the winter one that I drew was all about in Aroha, there's not much Aroha, so there's this outward show of strength, but they might not have the passion that's required underneath the love for the game, or there's a lot of, on paper they look really good, but have they got the heart that's required in this kind of competition as well? So that's what's facing England. So the next card, so the next team that I did a reading about was India. Now India, the cards, funnily enough, that I got around India had a sense, for example, the Rider-Waite card I got was death, and it was reversed, which means challenge surrounding that. The death card doesn't always mean death. It can also mean change, or the end of a cycle. Though the other card I got for the Thoth Tarot deck was worry, and even the winter poem that I got was to do with death as well. So I wonder if there's some outside influences actually that might be, affecting the team. The rising force of heaven is facing danger in the form of rain clouds. As gather strength calmly and wait for fate to be fulfilled. Do not worry. Take everything as it comes. If one does not deceive oneself, the path is clearly visible. Strength in body and spirit, perseverance brings success. Well, my sense is that there might be some personal issues that are affecting the Indian team at the moment. The poem that I got was In the Midst, which is all about in the midst of confusion and power and outer turmoil and everything that's going wrong. That there's still the opportunity to choose for freedom, and for the truth of who you are. So the sense is that there's some personal circumstances that India might be going through that might challenge this team at this present time, but they still have, if they can overcome that, they've got a good chance. But yeah, that's one of the things that might be plaguing them. All right. South Africa. Now, all of the cards about South Africa came up with the sense that they were struggling with this a sense of the shadow side. So you can see the I Ching cards got wind, which is a bunch of trees underneath the lake. So underneath this calm surface, there's this wind, and yeah, they're all kind of the card I got, the poem I got was Night of the Furies, which is sort of it's all about the shadow side and repression and sort of, but coming to accept that sense of, coming to accept the shadow and therefore embracing the shadow and moving through it. The Rider-Waite card was about the Chariot, which is all about movement and being in balance with, having the dark and the light in balance. So the Thoth card was indolence. So there's a sense that South Africa are struggling with their tag of being chokers perhaps at World Cups, but there's a sense also that they'll get a sense of movement through playing, and their efforts might kind of gather force as they move along, because at the end of the Furies poem it turns into the Furies turn into angels. So once they can there's a sense that they're battling with the shadow side, but once they can accept it, and as they move through the tournament, they'll be able to transcend it, hopefully, and that's what kind of issues they're facing in this tournament at the moment. So, but yeah, the card of indolence sort of looks a bit sorry. Let's have a look. The Eight of Cups in the Thoth tarot deck. They have sort of more specific meanings. So abandoned success, declining interest, temporary success, instability, misery, transience, which may lead away from. So yeah, there's a sense that they're battling with the shadow that they have. Yeah, their choking tag, I guess. Okay, so the fourth team that I did a reading about was New Zealand Black Caps. They're the team that I support, but I'm trying to be impartial. All the cards for this reading came with a sense that there's a bit of imbalance in the team, but there's a sense of unpredictability about them. The Two of Cups reversed is almost like a yin and yang again, but it's reversed means that there's a sense of challenge involved. The Thoth tarot card was interference. The other card for the I Ching was water thunder, so you get a sense of a broken bridge over water, which is a difficult beginning, and then but once they get over that, there's a sense of a clear path. So my sense is that they're struggling with the balance of their side, particularly the openers who are new. It's a new opening partnership that they're testing out. There's a few new players in the side. Once they get their issues will be around trying to find the right balance within the side. The poem I got was Flee, which is a poem about this little insect that won't go away, but trying to see it as something that is good, and actually looking at all the good aspects of a flea, which is the fact that they can leap far beyond their height. So that's New Zealand. We're a small nation of 5 million people, but they do have the ability to leap well beyond their punch above their weight, so to speak. And to other nations, other nations tend to dismiss them as minnows almost, but they're an annoyance, and they will annoy those big nations. But yeah, there is a sense of unpredictability and imbalance within the side as well. So once they overcome that, though, there might be a bit more plain sailing. Right, the fifth team that I did a reading about is Australia. Now, it's interesting. A lot of the stuff around Australia, the Thoth tarot card was the lovers. The Rider-Waite card was the Hierophant upside down. Now, the I Ching card was Water Mountain. So I'll just read you what it says for Water Mountain. It's quite interesting. Youthful folly, much strength but little experience. Recognise your situation, look for a teacher. So perseverance brings success. Yeah, right. So youthful folly, and that's the sense that I get from there's a sense of that the scandals that have happened in the past with Steve Smith and David Warner, but there's also a sense of perhaps they're distracted by the occasion. Some of the people in the team, they do have a sense of the Hierophant upside down suggests they're a bit challenged spiritually. They've got this brash attitude, but they haven't got the right spirit yet within the team. You look at a side like New Zealand, and they have a good spirit in their team in terms of the way they treat other people, whereas Australia often are seen as sledges and brash and kind of using underhand tactics. They've got a tag based on that too. So youthful folly. The sense of the poem that I got was again about internet dating. So, but the sense that they'd come all the way over the other side of the world to find that that there was miscommunication or with the person that they were trying to date, and they couldn't understand their language. So maybe there's a sense that they won't do well on these pitches even, but there's a sense of that they've got that again, that outward brashness, but something's lacking in terms of the spirit in the side. There we go. Now the sixth team I did a tarot reading on was Sri Lanka. So now Sri Lanka got the Wheel of Fortune card for the and it just says fortune. So, and it's the right way up, which is a sense that maybe through this tournament Sri Lanka can change their fortune. They've had a bad run of it lately. The card for the I Ching was Thunder Earth. So it's sort of about, and also the Rider Waite card is sort of about looking for sponsorship or friends or that kind of thing, or there's a sense that they're challenged with finding sponsorship perhaps, that's the poem that I got was Old Man, which is a poem that's sort of about this old man struggling with. He's almost a bit of a hunchback, and he's struggling with all the burdens of his life, but he's got all these gifts there if he only can see, but he's struggling with the burdens of the past and not able to see the present. The Wheel of Fortune tends to suggest that this might change. There's a chance for them to change, and even the I Ching card, Thunder Earth. Thunder has retreated to its place of origin deep into the earth. Now it moves upwards again. So there's a sense that the old comes to rest, old man. The new begins to move. New power, however, needs to be sheltered and given time in order to gain strength. New friends can help. So there's a sense maybe they need some new players. Maybe some of their new players are going to shine. There's a sense that they're going to start overcoming these troubles that they've had leading up to this tournament, and perhaps some of these new players are going to do well. There's a sense of change of fortune. Okay, it's a matter of letting go of the old and embracing the new. Pakistan. Okay, so now It's coming out quite positive for Pakistan actually, even though they've lost their first game to the West Indies. They've got strength for the Thoth reading, the Magician for the Rider Waite reading. The poem for the Poetry Tarot reading was Prayer for Today, which is about sort of give me strength to overcome all the problems that I'm facing, all the problems that are give me strength to get me to where I want to be, kind of thing. And the I Ching card was water, fire. So the sun rises over the water, evaporation will end the cycle. Before completion, it's called. A delicate situation demanding great caution. A mistake would be disastrous. Judge conditions with care. Maybe it's about judging the conditions of the pitches right, because they're different from their home conditions, and that's something that they need to take into account. Strength, though, the Magician, there's a sense they can bring magic. There's a sense of a cycle repeating itself. Now, they won the 1992 tournament in New Zealand, which was the similar format where all teams played each other rather than just pool groups. And I get the sense that that might be a good thing for Pakistan, that they might get a sense of movement by playing all these teams. And their unpredictability is kind of their strength in some way as well. They have the ability to bring magic if they can get their, the prayer for today was about sort of, they have got a spiritual aspect to their side, that if when they've got on the right buzz, they can do anything almost, and I think they could get momentum through this tournament with the help of luck, and not luck, but the sense of this their prayer and their spirituality that brings a different element than some of the other teams have, which is they get that when they're get onto almost like a fever that you see in churches sometimes. The eighth team that I've done is for the West Indies, and now the cards for the West Indies are looking pretty interesting too. In the warm-up game, we've seen them beat New Zealand pretty convincingly. We saw them beat Pakistan in their first match. Now, the poem I got was Signs, and Signs is a poem about the sign, all these kind of signs being presented to you, but the sense that you might be reading too much into them. However, the Rider Waite card was about bringing a gift to the tournament. They've come from afar and they're bringing their shining star or their spark to the tournament. There's a sense of adjustment. So they've struggled for a long time, the West Indies, but there's a sense that this tournament might bring some change to them. The fact that they get to play all of the nations is giving them a chance to prove themselves, and I think that's something that they long for, in a sense, is to play against all the nations in a tournament like this, whereas in past tournaments haven't had that opportunity because you've only just had one small pool group. So this is a good chance for them to show their mettle against some of those bigger teams. We've seen that already. The I Ching card was Lake, which is actually a good card. It's about balance, the lake feeding into the other lake. It's a pretty good card, that one. So yeah, I get the sense two lakes are linked together and each one is fed by the other. Associate with like-minded people to be inwardly strong and firm, outwardly mild and serene. Perseverance brings success. There's a sense that there's a good feeling within the side. I think their side is working well together, their management and their team, the personalities within the team. I get the sense that they're going to surprise a few people. They're bringing something. Even the winter poem that I accidentally picked earlier was Excursion in Wind City, which is about bringing the wind to the city of sails as a gift. So, there's a sense that they've got a gift that they're bringing to this tournament. There's something they're going to show. There's a sense that they're going to, have a chance to shine. And show their capabilities, and they might surprise a few teams and show a few teams up actually, and be good ambassadors for their country as well. They're showing a sense of renewed pride in their country, perhaps. The ninth card I got is for Bangladesh. Now, the Queen of Cups, the picture, this is the Thoth, Queen of Cups though, so it's a picture of a stork walking along over the lake. The Page of Wands is it's sort of a card to me that's about notching up experience, and there's a sense that the poem that they got was First Worlditis, so there's a sense that it's a poem about having lots of money it's a poem about the problems of, the distractions of living a first world lifestyle, I guess. There's a pill that you can buy in Dubai that gives you the power to poo gold. Now, Bangladesh is by no means a first world country, so there's a sense that there's a sense of poverty. This man is out in the desert, but he's putting a notch in his belt, in his stick. So there's a sense that he's learning through experience, but that doesn't necessarily bode. I mean, there's a sense that that it's a good learning experience for them. The I Ching card I got for them was Wind and Water, which is Wind and Water, the well. The wood draws life, giving water from the earth and distributes it in all directions. Get to the root of things, work for the common good and help others. Let caution prevail, for the bucket with which you draw water is fragile. So there's this, that's similar to this Queen of Cups, as the stork. She's sort of walking along this water. In fact, the Queen of Cups was quite interesting in terms of the Thoth tarot deck and the reading that came out for that. So there's a sense that the watery part of water, an observer, dreamy, tranquil, poetic, imaginative, kind yet passive, impressionable to other card influences. And that's again that First Worlditis poem, impressionable. to the other teams. So there's a sense that they're learning from the other teams, and this tournament will be really good for them to learn and gain experience from the other teams. But yeah, they're a bit impressionable because they're still reasonably new. Not that new, they've got a bit more experience now, but they're still notching up that experience, and this will really help because they get to play all the other teams at the same time. This final reading is for Afghanistan. Now, it's not looking good, unfortunately, for Afghanistan. The card I got for the Thoth deck was Ruin, and the I Ching was Wind Earth. Wind Earth, striving upwards. Wood penetrates the earth, a new plant has taken root. So that's actually good. The foundations of great things are built with painstaking effort. Seek advice, but have self-confidence. Keep path and goal in your sights. Success is assured. So yeah, there's a sense that this is again going to be a great learning experience for them, and a new seed has taken root by them being at this tournament, and that's what they can take from this tournament, but their prospects at the tournament might not be so good. The King of Swords, though, it's a card. There's a sense of austerity and almost, he looks quite sad in that photo, but there's a sense of austerity and religion almost. And the poem that I got is Needy, which begins with the solemn stupor, the separation of a religious mind. So there's a sense that King of Swords, they've got quite a few experienced players in their side, but they haven't had that experience against the bigger teams so much. So I think with this Ruin card, I think there's a potential that they'll be a bit overwhelmed in this tournament, but at the same time it's starting new routes for them, and it will serve its purpose in that sense, as in they're new on the they've been on the world stage for a little bit now, but there's a sense that they're taking their place on the world stage now, and this will give them that experience. They haven't played against a lot of these major teams very, very often, if at all. So, but yeah, there's a sense that they might get a walloping at certain times, though. Needy, solemn stupor. So yeah, they might sort of come with high hopes but go away a little bit disappointed. But what they need to take from it is that they're starting new routes, and it's good for their nation and good for their team. Alright, so just the overview. Who do I think will make the finals, the semi-finals, etc.? Well, it's hard to say. Just an overview of all the teams again. England, well, they look strong on paper, but there's a suggestion that underneath that there's a pressure of hosting a sense of failure that might plague them. Underneath their strength there is instability, so I'm not sure about England. Secondly, India, there's a sense of personal issues, something around death, worry. If they can get over that, there's a chance for them, I guess, but there's a sense that they might be overwhelmed by these personal issues. I'm not sure. There's a sense of rain clouds hanging over India, so I'm not too sure about India either. South Africa, there's a sense that if they can overcome their shadow, that this tournament might help them move through that and get a sense of movement as the tournament goes on. But at the beginning they might suffer from I don't know, that there's that choker tag hanging over them. What was the poem for them? The poem was Night of the Furies. Well, there's a sense of them getting momentum as the tournament goes on, and once they can embrace that shadow side, then it can actually work out as a positive for them. They can use that anger almost as a gift to propel them forward. So it could be good for South Africa. New Zealand, there's a sense of imbalance within the side that they need to deal with, interference, things like not quite right in terms of the balance of the side perhaps, or the balance between coach and management and players and that kind of thing, or the personalities, I don't know. But there is also a sense of them punching well above their weight, the sense of the flea and annoying being an annoyance to some of the bigger nations, and a sense of unpredictability as well, but a beauty in that, and a kind of their madness is almost a beautiful thing. But there's also a sense of shaky ground at the beginning, but once they move beyond that and get the balance right, then there's a sense that they might keep moving. I'm just going to get my Mexican beans off the pot. Hang on. How's they going to burn? All right. Yep, and I'm back. So number 5. So New Zealand may have a chance in this tournament once they get the balance right. Who knows? And they might be punching above their weight. Australia, there's a sense that there might be the lovers. There's a sense of something to do with love around. But there's a sense of youthful folly, so I also around. So I'm getting the sense that maybe that might be a distraction for them. Also, there's a sense of there's something being challenged spiritually within the side. The Hierophant upside down, a sense that they've got all this youthful exuberance, but they haven't got the right attitude somehow underneath spiritually. They're also dealing with those issues of suspension and stuff like that. So something that Australia struggle with, I think, is the attitude that they have towards other teams. And they're in a foreign country. It's England, though, having said that, but there's a sense that there might be distractions for them that could, all their brashness and bravado and there's just a sense that I don't know, that it doesn't feel. It feels like there's shaky ground there too, like that they're not spiritually right underneath as a side somehow. Sri Lanka, there's a sense of changing fortunes, a sense of out with the old, in with the new, that some of the new players might bring some fresh blood. That could be a good thing. But perhaps they're struggling in terms of the balance of the old and the new at the moment. There's also a sense with the poem, which was Old Man. Just it's same again. It's that sense of that they need to let go of the past and just get into the present and rejoice in this new moment. So you never know, if they can do that, there might be a chance for them. Pakistan though, strength, the magician. The prayer for today, there's a sense that also of an ending of a cycle. The 1992 World Cup for Pakistan was the one that they did very well, and I think they went on to win it in the end, didn't they? And they beat New Zealand in the semi-finals. Maybe they didn't win it, but there's a sense of that a cycle coming to a end. The tournament has been quite different since then, with just sort of lots of minnows in it playing each other, and the teams didn't play every other team. But there's a sense with this tournament that Pakistan are going to bring a bit of magic and a bit of unpredictability, that if they can use that spiritual high that they get on almost, where they kind of get that momentum going, then that could be good for them, and they could do really well in this tournament. So that's Pakistan. Then we've got West Indies. There's a sense that a good sense with the West Indies that they're adjusting as a team, that there's a good balance within the side, within the management, that they're good ambassadors for their country, that they will bring a gift to this tournament of their, they're bringing their particular calypso style of cricket to the tournament, if you like. That they could do well in that sense, but I don't know whether they'll win it. It's a sense of all the signs are there, but maybe we're reading too much into it. I don't know, but there's also that sense of adjustment. So Bangladesh gaining experience. There's a sense of shaky ground. I think it's all about that experience of playing all the other sides for them. With Afghanistan, I have a sense that they might be punching a little bit above their weight here. They might struggle in terms of that. Not like New Zealand, who will annoy other teams. That Afghanistan are going to, they're going to struggle. They need, but it's going to be a new kind of lease of life for them, in the sense of it's a new sense of being on the world stage that they haven't experienced before, which will be good for them. So South Africa, Pakistan, West Indies, possibly India, possibly New Zealand, England not so much, India not so much actually, possibly Sri Lanka, if they can let go of that sense of old. But my favourites are South Africa, West Indies, Pakistan, maybe New Zealand. I don't think Australia are going to do it this time round somehow. So that's none of the top favourites. I don't think. Maybe South Africa. But South Africa, West Indies, Pakistan are teams to watch, I reckon, and maybe New Zealand also as the tournament goes on. Sri Lanka possibly. England will be strong, but I don't think they might make it to the semis, but I don't think they'll win the final. And India, I think there's a possibility for them if they can get over their personal struggles, I think. All right, there we go.